Hello, everybody, wherever you may be around the world, sea to shining sea. Big show today. Welcome to Ham Radio Live. My goodness, we got Mike Walker coming here from Flex Radio by way of Toronto today. Going to be a big show. Looking forward to meeting him and, saying hello again to Mike. He's a great guy. Looking forward to letting him answer your questions about all things Flex Radio. Plus, we'll have today's propagation forecast and a whole bunch more. Answering your questions all day long and well. So thank you for coming. I want to thank you for subscribing to the channel. It does help people find it here on YouTube, and I do appreciate that sincerely. Thank you as well for the thumbs up and for the thumbs down. Sorry the show disappoints. It's kind of the way it goes sometimes. Hello, everybody. A very happy Wednesday. Today is June 2nd. Around the world, wherever you may be. My name is Larry, and my call sign's Kilo 7 Hotel November. Just do this little shindig to help people out with ham radio, to get them both on the air and help them succeed on the air. I do this. People ask why, and honestly, it's just because I care. I waited too long to get my own ham radio license, and I thought, what can I do to help others not make the same mistake? This show is a result of all of that thinking and all those prayers. So I do thank you very, very much for coming. Today, we got a big, big show. We really do. Mike Walker from Flex Radio will be joining us today at the bottom of the hour. Looking forward to him taking all your questions. If you'd like to get an amateur radio, please contact the American Radio Relay League. You can find them online at www.arrl.org. A great group there to help you wherever you are in the world. Just hit the Contact Us link, and they will connect you with a radio club anywhere around the world near you. In Japan, the Japan Amateur Radio League can be found at www.jarl.org. In Great Britain, the Radio Society of Great Britain can be found at www.rsgb.org. And our mates in Australia, the Wireless Institute of Australia, really good radio group there, wia.org. So www.wia.org is the place to go for them. And up in Canada, Radio Amateurs of Canada can help you get licensed. Find them online at www.rac.ca. If you have a show idea, like to email the show, talk about a product, maybe you want a product review, or would like to know my opinion on something, keep in mind, it's my opinion. It's not going to be actual fact because your mileage may vary with any product. Really, it's the way it works. Antennas can make a difference. Noise can make a difference. You've got RFI, things like that. For example, I can't give you much help on 6 meters. There's too much RFI here, but if I can help you, I'd be happy to. You can reach me on Gmail at cqhamradiolive@gmail.com. I'd like to welcome you to the show. Well, first of all, welcome my brother Bob. Hello downstairs. Hey there, Bob. Puffed my chest out again. Second time in a row, my brother has been first on. That's pretty sweet. That's 2 days straight. Today's trivia question: which of the following designs is used for a ballon? A ballon, yeah. Okay, now keep in mind, ballons, they help to convert unbalanced line to balanced line or vice versa. So which of the following designs is used for a ballon? Is it A, coax wire wrapped on a ferrite core or rod? Is it B, coax wound in a coil? Is it C, ferrite beads placed on a length of coax? Or is it D, all of the above? Answer A, B, C, or D, and we'll let you know when someone gets the right answer on that, all right? Working hard on the flagpole antenna from Grayline Performance. Yep, it's up, and it's pretty much done now. Thank the good Lord. I can only work so long on these things, but this thing has gotten so much love from my neighbors. Oh, my gosh. Now, keep in mind, this thing has just been put up, okay? There's going to be hedging around that flagpole. You won't even see the tuner behind it. The piece behind it there is the MFJ 998RT, the remote tuner that's full power. Yep, it'll do that flagpole as an antenna and make it a full QRO vertical antenna. And you won't even see it's there. Yep, the hedging will take care of all of that. So that is what's coming up here for us. We'll be working on that, do a full review, and help you out with that as well today. The conditions outside for HF, there's coronal hole number 63. It's facing Earth. This courtesy of solarham.com. And as you can see, it's facing Earth right now. It has the capability of giving us a little bit of problems on the HF bands, which, by the way, increases the propagation on VHF. Yep, really does. And then, of course, you see small little coronal hole number 64s there as well. but 63 is the one that has been causing a little bit of ups and downs. Current conditions, SFI of 675. That's up 1 from about an hour ago. The K-index is up 3 today, and that shows around the world, around the noise floors everywhere. A-index is at 3. We got some E-skip on 6 meters available today. MUF is really good, 21.06 out of Boulder. That's really a good MUF. Yeah, that means 15 meters is open right now. Noise floors around the world, we'll start with North America, S3s all the way from Canada, the very north part, all the way to the southern part of the U.S. So S3s throughout North America. South America, S3 on 40, S2 on 20 out of Brazil. In Buenos Aires, we've got 40 meters at S3, 20 meters S3. In Europe, in Great Britain, is a S5 40 meter. I checked 5 SDRs, seriously, and S5, no joke. 20 meters is S4. In Germany, out of Hamburg today, 40 meters S3, 20 meters S3. And then no report out of Africa today. In Russia, we've got an S4 on 40 meters, S5 on 20. In Singapore, S5 is on 40 meters, S6 on 20. Down in Australia, S2 on 40. Nice and quiet on 40 meters today in Australia. S2 also on 20 meters. It's really good. Move over a little bit to the east there to New Zealand. S3 on 40 meters and an S2 on 20. In Hawaii, we've got S3 on 40 and an S1 on 20 meters. MUFs around the world. See, Athens still up there, 23.01. But today, look at that. Boulder, Colorado's matching that real close at 21.06. That means that 15-meter operation should be good today. Yep, we should get good 15 meters on daytime bands. Yeah. Darwin, Australia at 7.88, and then South Africa at 7.35. No reports out of South America here for the MUFs. The forecast today, ham radio side, 17, 20, and 15 open. And I mean open today to 15 meters. Possibly some 12 and short 10-meter E-skip. You should get some 10-meter E-skip today because 6-meter E-skip is open. Keep in mind, E-skip is simply an area of the ionosphere that has a little more particles charged up than another place does. Think of it like a thunderstorm, but you can't see it, right? There's a big cloud of ions that's a little more highly charged in a cloud. That's E-skip. So you could get some today on 10 meters as well as 6. Ham nighttime frequencies on those ham frequencies, 160, 80, 75, 60, 40, 30, and a 60% chance of some voice operations tonight on 20 meters after sunset and little beyond. I think tonight you're going to get 20-meter DX until right about midnight your time. I think after that it's going to fall down, pretty significantly. So 20 meters up until midnight. Short wave bands today, 31, 25, 19, 16, and 13 is possible. I think 13, you might just be able to squeeze out 13. But definitely 31, 25, 19, and 16. Tonight on the shortwave bands, 120, 90, 60, 75, 60, 49, 41, 31, 25, and 19 meters. Yep, if 20's open, 19 should be open tonight up until midnight on the shortwave bands. A lot of activity can be heard on 19 from the tropical regions of the world. So good place to look, 19 meters tonight. Should find most of your activity there on 75, 49, and 25 meters on the shortwave bands. There's forecast. Hello, and a welcome to you. Happy June 2nd, 2021. Nice to see everybody. Looking forward to having Michael Walker from FlexRadio join us today from Toronto. I always love Mike. Mike's a great guy. Michael, to give you a backstory, we've had lots of manufacturers here on the show, right? We've had MFJ, we've had ICOM, we've had Elecraft, Flex, we've had some good manufacturers on. Mike Walker was the first one to volunteer to come on. Mike was. And for that, I'll never forget it. Michael, thank you very, very much. Thank you. I want to say some hellos to people from around the world. Good evening to Kevin, my dear friend in Great Britain. Good evening to you. Mike Zero, Mike Charlie Lima. Martin is here from the Netherlands. Papa Echo 9, Tango India Golf. Good evening to you, Martin. I hope you're not working the night shift right now. Andy Cowley, hello to you. Rod Clare from South Salem, Oregon. Kilo 7 Lima Alpha Papa. And I want to remind you guys the trivia question today, because we do have to get that in quickly. The question, which of the following designs is used for a ballon? Okay, for a ballon, is it A, coax/wire wrapped on a ferrite rod or core? Is it B, coax wound in a coil? Is it C, ferrite beads placed on a length of coax? Or is it D, all of the above? Those are your choices. Let's see who can get it done today. We've got, so far, UK has a big lead. 4 for the UK, 2 for the US, 1 for Germany, and we'll see what happens today in the trivia question. All right, let's go through just a little bit of Flex Radio history. Flex Radio has been around since 2003, and when they first came out, they were really, people just didn't understand because, personal computers were big. Don't get me wrong. PCs were really big. 2003. I hope you remember that far, right? 2003 wasn't too long ago. Okay, 2003 wasn't too long ago. Andy comes out with answer A. No, that is not correct. But keep trying on that trivia question. You'll get there. You'll get there, guys. Yep, you'll get there. Let me throw it up there one more time because it is a kind of a weird one. Which of the following designs for a ballon? Okay, which of the following designs is used for a ballon? Which one? Is it A, coax wire wrapped on a ferrite rod or core? Is it B, coax wound in a coil? C, ferrite beads placed on a length of coil? Or D, all of the above? And we have a correct answer. The U.S. is back on the board. Yep, look at that. Yep, the answer is D, all of the above. Yeah, all of these are designs that could be used for a ballon. Greg Lopez, Kilo Tango 4, Romeo Alpha Mike, just got it right. Well done, Greg. Nice work. Just beat out the UK. Look at that. Both Andy and Kev came out with D, and you guys both just missed it. You just missed it by Greg. Greg, good work, man. That's awesome, man. Well, now the U.S. has got 3, so 4, 3, and 1, and we'll go with another trivia question tomorrow, okay? Flex Radio started out back in 2003. Now, a lot of people just didn't understand it because here's this thing called a software-defined radio, right? The U.S. Navy experimented with this in the late 80s, but the problem was the radio took up so much room that it just wasn't feasible. Semiconductors had not evolved to the point where it was practical to use them. So, it just kind of got shelved. Well, some people in Austin, Texas got together and said, I bet we could build this. And this was back 2003. The very first Flex Radio transceiver, the SDR 1000, came out. And look at it. I mean, basically, this is what you received right here. You got a microphone, right? You got a power supply cable, and you hooked it directly up to your PC. That was it. And it worked with a thing called Smart SDR. That was how it worked. Of course, they've had lots of updates to Flex Radio since then. They've had the 3000 come out. They've had the 5000 come out. And then they came out with the Signature Series. And the Signature Series is kind of sweet. Let's show you the top line. 6700. This has what's called 8 slices. Now, slices are what we think of as receivers, okay? So literally, you could be, working some data or some voice on one and monitoring on 7 different frequencies at one time. It also offers diversity reception like the 6600 does. It's a fantastic transceiver, and it will work, of course, with the legendary Flex Maestro. The Maestro, I had a chance to use this with my 6500, and I'm going to be honest with you, I use this so much more than I use the 6500 on my Mac. I just did, and it was because this thing was just so addictive to use. Touchscreen, everything worked brilliantly. The buttons have, multiple controls. It's kind of like working a K3 or K3S where the buttons have, more than one function. Even the knobs, same thing. The VFOs, and they were weighted so well. The thing that blew me away on the Maestro, it weighed maybe 5 or 6 pounds. It wasn't that heavy. It was a very, very manageable unit. You could keep it on your lap. You could take it and put it on a TV tray or an end table. It was just really easy to use. Flex Radio really was the first to come out with SDRs. And what they've done since then is they've continued to evolve and make the product better. Now, to be quite frank, I loved my Maestro, and it was just because of what happened to my dog that I had to get rid of it. That's why, otherwise I'd be showing it right now, but it's in Colorado now. But I do want to tell you, in all honesty, if you can get a Maestro, get a Maestro. If you've got a 6000 series, it'll work. If you've got a 6300, it'll work. 64, 66, 65, 67. The Maestro will work for you, and it will blow your mind how well it works. I can tell you truthfully, the one thing that you need to know about Maestros is that they're not, you don't like plug them in, right? You don't use the wall wart, plug them in, and then the battery charges them up. It doesn't recharge the battery when it's plugged in. You have to recharge the battery outside the Maestro. But once you get the battery charged in a few hours, plug it back into the Maestro and just hook it right back up. And then it has the choice. If you've got, say, maybe 2 flex radio transceivers, you pick the one you want to work, and then it connects to it. It asks you which version of software you want to use. You click that, and it just takes off. Man, it is a brilliant product, and it was my favorite product in ham radio. Of all the things I've sold, I think the things I miss the most, if I really am frank with you, is the FTDX10, because I really like that radio a lot, and I really miss the Maestro. The Maestro was just brilliant. So, yeah, that was how it worked for me. And, one of the things I think that I will tell you that I do like about Flex, they are made in America. Both their parts are made here in America as well. They're based out of Austin. And Mike Walker from Flex Radio should be joining us right in a few minutes here from the world of Canada, because that's where Michael's out of. Yeah. So anyway, we've got a good show for you today. And I want to let you know, we've updated a little bit of work here. Here's the flagpole antenna. That was just a couple minutes late with today's show, and I apologize for that. You can see behind it there is the MFJ 998RT. The RT stands for the remote tuner. It sits behind the boulder. There's going to be some hedges that go around the base of the flagpole so that you can't see the tuner. You won't be able to see that. So it's going to be all hidden. And this antenna is supposed to work 160 to 6. Now, I'm going to see, I'm really excited to do this. I really am. That tuner is really, really good, and it'll work full power. You don't need to go all the way to the 998 to make it work. You could use it like a 993 RT if you want, something with lower power. But my neighbors have loved this thing. I've had so many people say, thanks for putting a flagpole up, especially close to Independence Day. That really makes the neighborhood look nice. Seriously. And if Bergs was here from Sweden, oh my gosh, no, it's Anders from Norway. Sorry. If Anders from Norway was here, he'd be laughing because he knows how, some of my neighbors have reacted towards the antennas. So yeah, that's it. That's the DX flagpole antenna. It's made by Grayline Engineering out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And I can tell you that the company has been very, very good to deal with. They've been very, very good to me. And I think that they are doing, the best that they can to, meet customers' demand as best they can as well. So let me see if I can get a hold of Mr. Walker here. He's been working pretty darn hard. And I know that he is a guy that, truly is doing his very best to, tell us all about Flex and what's been going on. I'm really interested to find out from him on, and that's me ringing him, by the way. I'm interested to find out from Michael about Flex and how they've dealt with the coronavirus. That should be really interesting. So I'm looking forward to catching up with Michael because he's a neat guy. So Michael Walker from Flex Radio. There you are. How are you, buddy? Gosh, it's great to see you, man. How are you?
Not too bad. And yourself?
I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm going to put you on a different screen now so we can get you here on the good screen so people can see you. How are things in Toronto today?
Nice. I need some time off. Oh, wait a minute. I had a day off yesterday. No, we're good. Really good. Just been busy, but that's to be expected. So no, all good. And yourself, Larry?
Good. Yeah, good. It's been just too many projects. It's like you want to get everything done at one time. There's so much to do, and there's only so many hours, and then it hits almost 100 degrees outside, and you're like, there's no way I'm going to be in this corner of the yard with the fence on one side, the house on the other, and the fence, the sun just microwaving me in that corner. No way. No way.
Excellent.
How have you guys
Yeah.
been doing with the coronavirus, man? Everyone is struggling so hard with parts and semiconductors and everything. Were you guys a victim also to the semiconductor fire there?
Oh yeah, both of them.
Boy.
We're actually doing fine, but because we control our own world, it allows us to retool if we need to. And but that still means you need to, if you change any part, you need to go get it, see if it fits on the board. If not, redesign new artwork, get a new board spun up, test the new board, QA the new board, and then hope that you can buy as many as you need without
Yeah.
ever having to go back.
Oh, no.
So it's none of it's trivial, and it's part that we're not used to, right? We've grown up with just stuff's available. The other thing we're seeing is lead times from parts that used to be 4 weeks to 6 weeks to 12, and sometimes now 52 weeks.
Wow.
And
Really? 52 weeks?
yeah, and it's not even us. I mean, we're just a little guy, right? It's the car companies and I guess the cell phone companies. But certainly I have good data on the car companies are buying a lot of stuff too. So
Yeah, we had Ray Novak on last week from ICOM. He said that the Japanese car industry has lost 60 billion yen this year because of the semiconductor issue. And it's not just ham radio. It's so many elements of our world. It's just crazy. Whoa.
that's
Very nice.
My green screen didn't pick up on Skype, so I just decided to throw that. This is actually a computer I used to work on when I was a kid, when IBM hired me.
That's awesome. Tell us about that. What exactly is that? Is that like is that like what's in Boulder Mountain there in Colorado?
Absolutely.
That's it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely correct. I got hired by IBM back when I was 19 or 20. I lived north of Toronto in a city called North Bay, which is the sister to Cheyenne Mountain or Boulder.
Yeah.
And the computer is, you can Google it, the AN, which stands for, what does it stand for? Probably, some version of the American military.
Yeah.
FSQ, Fox Sierra Quebec 7. And I spent 3 years working on that. It was designed in 1958. Went into operation about 61. I started working on it in 79, and it ran till about 1984, and it was our air defense. 64,000 tubes, core memory, and big ass air conditioners that
No
can make
kidding.
20 tons of ice a day. And there was 2 computers,
Wow.
600 feet underground.
And you gotta tell me what was the memory on the thing? Seriously, do you remember what the memory capacity was?
I do. There were 33-bit words, and I think we had the big memory one. It was 512K.
It's so funny these days to think about what it used to be. The Navy came out with SDR back in the late 80s, and they just couldn't put it together because it took up a gigantic room to make SDR work. So that's what Cheyenne Mountain looked like a long time ago. And no, don't kill me. Don't kill. Okay, there you go.
So this is actual. Wait, it's hard to tell with the green screen, so I'll stand in front of it. That's not working either. This is core memory, and these are little donuts of magnetics. They're ferrite, and there's 4 wires through it, and each wire would be XY to pick a particular core, inhibit, which is like write protecting, and then sense. If you did something, then you had to read the voltage that was returned back.
Wow.
So that's core memory. This is 2K by 1 bit.
Really?
And I have 2 pieces of it.
That's
it
pretty
should be in better
sweet.
shape, but these were made by hand.
Oh my gosh.
And there's like every wire you can see. I don't know if you can see the wiring.
Oh yeah, we
and
can see
these
them.
would be in 1, 2, 3, 4. I think these were 4x4 arrays. I think.
Wow. Wow. And how it was 64 tubes?
6146 tubes were used to do stuff with the memory, and of course, half the people that worked with me in NORAD were ham operators, so we always had new finals.
That's great.
Every radio
man.
back then had 6140.
That's awesome. We're live with Michael Walker from FlexRadio. If you got a question for Michael, please hit him up in the comment section. Michael can help you, especially if you're new ham, because maybe you can't go up and afford the 6400. Perhaps you can't, but he can probably tell you what you might need to know about maybe the 5000 or a more expensive one. And they do get those as well pre-loved. They do sometimes get pre-loved units that are like that. And so if you're looking for a really good software-defined radio that has got really decent power, Mike, seriously, just put in the comment section. Michael, the one thing I noticed about my 6500, there's a thing that FlexRadio calls a knee when you use the AGC. And I noticed there was more than one. There was it seemed like there was a first one and there was a second one. The second one was lower. And when you're using your AGC, you turn the volume quite a bit higher. But then when you get up there a little more and then it pops in just a little heavier, that thing is so sensitive. I mean, the radio, the receiver is so hot on at least the 6500. I don't know if I've used a radio that hot before. In fact, my first QSO on that was on the Maestro in my downstairs level to Bulgaria on 100 watts. I was stunned. I made one call to Europe my entire life. That was the first one to Bulgaria. And it literally was on a Flex Maestro on 20 meters. It was what a beautiful piece of kit that is.
Yeah, there's a lot of discussion going on about software-defined radios or direct sampling radios, and how do you not overdrive the spectral capture unit, the ADC or the ADD converter. There's a couple of ways to do it. We have a proprietary way we do it, which is different than other vendors. So then we're left with, as Larry was saying, was adjusting this AGCT to an optimum level. I've never seen it as critical as you're saying, but that's okay. Everybody learns their own little bit, and we actually have it well described. But all of a sudden, you think I've got it tuned up, but I won't be able to hear anything. The radio is too quiet. It's is there an antenna connected? Quiet.
Exactly.
But because of the dynamic range, it's not true. You will hear weak signals equally well as loud signals.
Yes.
Without one impacting another.
Yes.
And the best example I saw was an RTTY contest I was on last fall, and I live in Toronto. I'm not far away from K3LR. K3LR is an incredibly big, loud station. As the crow flies, maybe a couple of hundred air miles to K3LR. And yet here he is. He's running RTTY, and I could see it on the waterfall, and there's this nice big slope up. And right on the side, I could see a little blip, and it was an Argentina station on 80, and I needed him for new multiplier. I had no problem decoding and copying him.
I'm not surprised. Yeah.
And so what a well-designed, SDR, and SDR, by the way, is just a technology, right? SDR is, we've gotten away from semiconductors, and now we have software-defined radios, which is no different than your iPhone. Your iPhone is a software-defined radio.
Yeah.
Okay.
It
it's
is.
just that we do the manufacturing differently. We do it in soft now. And but because we can do that, we can sample so well, we're not pounded by what's the word I want? I'm having a little bit. AGC in a regular superhet radio, you'll hear if you're on 5 kilohertz waves, the guy really loud, and you can just hear the guy ripping all the way through and adjusting the AGC pumping. The pumping doesn't exist.
Yeah.
In a well-designed AGC.
Well, the other thing that your radio does well is it handles static crashes better than any receiver I've ever used. I mean, I would be on a different brand of radio, and the band was loud. A ton of static crashes. It seemed like it was almost non-existent when I was on 80 and 40 on the Flex. It was just really nice and quiet. It just resulted so quickly. Got a question from Romania.
Hold on that thought.
Yeah.
Hold on that thought, because I just did a presentation with a club in the UK. I just came from there, and I played for them a video, and you can find it on our Flex Radio YouTube channel. I'm trying to see what it's titled.
Okay.
But if you Control F Lightning, it shows that exactly what you're talking about, where lightning is just, whereas on a superhead, it's, if you're hearing a conversation, you hear me go, "Hi, this is Mike."
Correct.
And as the AGC decays,
Yep.
then you go. How many times you've heard people say, "Oh yeah, I copy it great, but the lightning crash took you out."
Correct.
Well, that doesn't happen.
Yep.
Anyway, go ahead with your
No,
question.
you're right. And that's what I was trying to say. It was just noticeable. I mean, it seemed like it was almost immune to that. That was a refreshing thing. Nikolai, coming from Romania, he's a new ham. He's asking you, what advice do you have for a beginner ham, Michael?
Don't be afraid to try things. And don't get stuck in one part of the hobby. And this was the mentoring I was given as a new ham a long time ago. I'm gonna go on my old fart podium here, but ham radio is just not about talking. Ham radio is about trying things. Ham radio is about failing at trying things and saying
Yes.
that didn't work, and then having success after that. You will. Don't be afraid to blow something up. It's really hard to blow things up. Will you never blow things up? Probably. If you didn't, you're not trying hard enough. I've had a few expensive mistakes in my lifetime, but a good,
Yeah.
we teach basic electronics, but if you understand a few things in electronics and understand them well, like Ohm's law, but what does that mean? Okay, understand voltage drop. Understand impedance, that it needs to be high or low type of thing. Don't worry
Correct.
about exact numbers.
Yep.
And as we've long since in ham radio, you can wing it in a lot of places. Throw a piece of wire up in a tree, see if it works as an antenna.
Yes.
Maybe it doesn't.
Yes.
Maybe nobody hears you. Today's world, we have the beauty of PSK Reporter or the reverse beacon network to know if my signal's actually getting out. Heck, when I was in 79, I'd been a ham now for 4 years. I was buying fence wire or stealing fence wire because I had no money.
Yeah.
And coax cable. There are the right ways to do it. There absolutely is. But you know what? The difference between the right way and being resourceful isn't that necessarily going to prevent you from making contacts.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the one thing as a new ham is if somebody tells you, and I'm going to get chewed apart for this, that my SWR on my antenna is flat across the band, I'm going to tell you, you've probably got a dummy load.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
You can yell at me later.
No, we're live with Mike Walker from Flex Radio. And Michael, thank you. Another good thing, Nikolai, is do get connected if you can with some local radio folks there that have been in for a while. Ask them questions and, pick their brains. They're going to tell you their mistakes. Certainly we've all made them, no question. Dave from Temecula, California, welcome. Whiskey 6 Charlie Radio Tango. Rod Clare from South Salem, Oregon, if you've not blown something up, you are not trying, LOL. That's great. That's great. It's true. I mean, sometimes we push the envelope just a little bit too far, and it's not because it is because we're trying to do something that we think is going to work. It just doesn't work out, and we learn the hard way. But the
Failing
hardest
is a learning experience.
Yeah,
Sorry,
exactly.
It absolutely is. It's the best teacher you'll ever have.
And the other thing I'd say, Nikolai, is don't let people, there's some people who are kind of curmudgeons in ham radio. Don't let the real angry curmudgeons ruin your life in ham radio, because some of them can be pretty edgy, pretty salty, up with that salty. Just remember there are a lot of nice people in ham radio too, and they're going to be willing to help you.
For the first guy that tells you to read the manual, ask the guy what chapter I should start at. I guarantee he hasn't read it either.
There you go. Live with Mike Walker, one of my favorite guests. Mike, you were the first one that actually volunteered. Thank you for that. I mean that. Thanks,
You're
Michael.
welcome.
You're just such a nice guy. You're a really nice guy. How's the cabin up there going? Are you working a lot out of there still?
We'll be back tomorrow. It's going to get hot here in Toronto, like plus 30 Celsius and high humidity. But I have to go when it gets hot, and I'll just stay hot. If I go back and forth between air conditioning and whatever,
Yeah.
so then it's harder. But if you stay in it, then my wife and I, we ping pong back and forth. We're fortunate to have two properties. It's worked out okay. But you coming home? Is the air conditioning on? Yeah. No, I'm not coming home. I'd rather swim in the lake.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's your setup again at the cabin? Tell us all. Remind us all about what you got up there.
Sure. You can go to my QRZ page, and I have a video walkthrough VA3 Mike Whiskey there. And so I run remote. I've been running remote since about 2005 when I was able to get internet up at our place. And so I have a Flex 6600, and I'm fortunate to have a PGXL amplifier. It's an expensive amplifier, but it's a really nice amplifier. And but I've used other amplifiers. And in my case, the driving point was noise. And I started remote operating with TS480 and just ham radio deluxe and a PC at both ends.
Wow.
And that worked, that worked really well. And for most people, that's actually all you need. Now, the Flex Radio stuff with SmartLink, it makes it incredibly easy.
Yes, it does.
But I had to learn about VPNs, port forwarding and stuff. And, today we have this amazing tool called the internet that I guarantee anything you want to try, you're not going to be the first person that's ever done it. You want to fix your dishwasher? I guarantee someone else has failed the same way, and they published it.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mike, that's
It's
great.
like better than the library. And so that's what I have there. And I've got a number of antennas, but I have a tower and a stepper on it. No big deal, but it's a 40-foot tower, 45 feet. I bought it for nothing. I think I took it down. I think I got it for nothing because I had to take it down.
Mm-hmm.
There's no concrete. It's just tied in place with stakes like on field day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just part of just sort of get out and do it.
Yeah.
The wire's cheap. Home hardware, Home Depot, whatever you've got nearby. You don't have to. And if you're really thrifty, don't go buy a wire antenna. Make it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I talk a lot here about probably one of the best investments that you can make. If you're not familiar with antennas, ARL has a great book called The Antenna Book, and it is really, really worth buying. It's one of those books that helps you to learn how to build wire antennas. It helps you to phase verticals, Yagis, all kinds of things. Yep. There you go. Yep. There
I
you
have
go.
a whole ARL library right there. I've got about 4 of these.
Yeah, it's a great book. And you know what? For the cost of probably buying a really decent, dipole, you could buy that antenna and all the wire you need to probably make 3 antennas with your first purchase. So seriously, it's well worth it. Yeah.
I hate to say it. Leave it in the washroom.
What? Oh,
Leave it in the washroom.
I got you. Okay, got you. That's funny. That's funny. That's great. Live
Mostly
with Michael
guys,
Walker.
Don't lie to me. You don't walk into the washroom with your iPhone or a newspaper. Okay. It's
That's great. Live with Michael Walker for Flex Radio. If you've got a question for him, please let us know. Just put it in the comment section. Nikolai, you're very welcome. Thank you. And John Hummel Newell, our new ham from Saskatchewan. Victor Echo 5, Juliet Hotel, November. He's brand new to ham radio. Welcome, John. Tom is from Bahrain. His U.S. call is of course, Alpha Echo 1 Tango Papa. In Bahrain, he's Alpha 92 Golf Whiskey. Welcome, Tom. Good to see you. Any questions from Mr. Walker from Flex Radio, please put them in the comments section. Mike, I have one. Any thoughts? Is there any planning? And I asked Ray Novak this for the 7610 last week. I got to ask it to you. Is there anything on the drawing board for a Flex Radio with 200 watts transmit?
I can't answer that.
Gosh,
I'm sure Ray said the same thing.
No, he actually, what he said, what Ray was said, man, I would like that too. I'd want to, but right now with the semiconductor problem, we just can't do it. It's just not work. It's not in the works.
We honestly don't say because it can change. We may have something that the other one I just get is when are we going to do a VHF UHF all mode?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good question. Both of those are always on the table. It really, and Ray would probably give you the same answer, although I have the advantage of being a little closer to, the C-level, the COO, chief executive officers than maybe Ray does with Japan. I don't know. And just in all kindness, because we're a little smaller company. But it does come down to economics. So can you... it's not that we don't need it. It's not that we'd all love it. But can we build it, design it, build it, manufacture it, and sell enough of them to pay for all that because we have staff for everything, and then also build enough of them to make sure that over the next 5-10 years we can support it and still buy parts and pieces and bits to make it go out the door.
Well, then you also got to deal with R&D and issues of, revisions and all of that. You got to pay for that and figure that in the cost. Yeah. So I get it. No, I had to ask. 200 watts is, it's kind of a big deal to some folks. But one thing I do like about Flex.
Well, hold on,
yeah.
Larry, hold on. Do you know that, all of our radios are actually 200 watt radios? And how is that, you say?
How is that, I say?
So Flex radios do something called controlled envelope single sideband. And it makes your 100 watts behave like 200 watts. And this is not smoke and mirrors. You can go read about it. Just Google ARL controlled envelope single sideband. And there's a paper written by Dave Hirschberger on this. And this is how we handle and trying to do this in 2 sentences is hard. But all of our HF amplifiers deal with how much power is going out the back end and then how much sideband audio we push it with. And if we overdrive it, then we see an ALC. We see a limiting feature start to happen. That's what the ALC is about. Same thing with an amplifier. Well, we don't actually want that ALC to move. We don't want any limiting. Once it moves, we're into limiting. And then what happens is we start to reduce power. And it's not that we're actually doing more than 100 watts. It's just that everybody else is not able to do it the same way. And they're actually almost 3 dB down, 2.8 dB, 2.9 dB, which is half power. Your 100 is actually only 50 in a, somebody else's SDR radio because they're using the traditional method to do power control. And I hate to make it sound like that because in reality it is, because that's your reference. So if you take an OEM radio and you and I are talking on it the same way, and we actually do proper peak envelope power readings in the back end, you'll see there's more RF power out. But it also affects your amplifier. Your 500 watt amplifier behaves like a 1,000 watt amplifier.
Okay. Well, one thing I will say.
Single sideband.
One thing I will say, and this was something I noticed using the 6500, was that my gain was better. My receive signal was louder on my Flex than it seemed to be on my other transceivers. It was louder, no question. Same antenna. It just had a louder signal, and it was noticeably louder. So, yeah, you're doing something right there for sure. One other thing that I do want to get into with you, because this has gotten so popular, FT8, FT4, it is so easy. Could you talk about the integration of Smart SDR and how well it works directly with FT8, FT4 on a Flex?
Slice Master. So we have a customer, and because the radio is open source, that allows people to connect directly to the radio to have access to it's called the API. So you could write your own client if you wanted to. So Slice Master is a piece of software that you can download for free and will configure your WSJT in about 4 mouse clicks. So you don't have to worry about setting up COM ports type of thing, which is usually the bottleneck of different things. And so that's how easy it can be.
Exactly.
Now, once you have WSGTX running, you've got FT8, FT4, QC65, et cetera, all ready to go.
Yeah. It's
and
just
the same thing,
it's simple.
Sure it's simple.
It's just simple. Yeah. Smart SDR, for those who've never used it, is, and think of it like, I guess the best way to describe it is if you've ever used like an SDR play, it's like an SDR play on steroids with a supercharger on it. It's just, it's louder, it's clearer, it's just easy to use. It's just super easy to use. My favorite part of using it is the ability to tailor your receive signal to exactly what the transmit signal is. If you've got some guy that's maybe at 2.7, right? You can move it right to 2.7. Maybe he's at 2.9. You can get it right to 2.9. And it's easy to do. It's just simply with a little flick of the mouse wheel, or you can touch it with your fingers of the Maestro. I mean, it's very easy. And what it does is it reduces the QRM out there and the QRN. It just makes it simple to hear the signal. You'll hear weak signals, I think, on a Flex radio right now, probably better than most signals in the world. Seriously. And I'm not saying that to fluff you up, but I do mean that because mine was louder, noticeably louder than the other radios I have here. It really was. So you guys have done some kind of magic there to make that work, because it was clearly listenable. I could hear it. Like the Bulgaria station I told you about, I went upstairs to listen to it on a radio that is one of the top ends on Sherwood. I couldn't hear it. Now I can tell.
Go ahead.
I can tell you the Bulgaria guy was only at maybe a 3x1, maybe 3x1, but I just couldn't hear him on the other station. All I could hear was I heard a little bit of noise, but I couldn't make it out. The Flex brought it out. That's what you'll get with the FlexRadio. That's what at least I found out.
Mm-hmm. I know we have customers, because I deal with them a lot, and in all kindness, that think that we don't pay attention to things in our heads in the sand, but believe it or not, we actually do too. When other things come up, we get 1,000 new ideas a week of things we should do with them. All of them are considered, by the way. So
that's cool. That's good. You listen to your customers. Got a question here out of Holland. Martin asks, his call sign Papa Echo 9 Tango India Golf, is Flex Radio, because it's with the computer, is there any issue of catching a virus with it.
No, and not all Flex radios are with a computer. So if you're not familiar with the radio, it's a black box, I guess, type of thing. We have the M model radios, which have which you can take to field day and plug in a battery and an antenna and be on the air. But no, there's no virus issues at all, type of thing. Even if you're using it remotely, we have a secure connection to the radio, so it would not be the attack vector I would expect anybody would spend any time trying to figure out.
All right, good. And also,
and it's all secure anyway.
Well, it's also a true QRP rig. You can go all the way down to 1 watt. So that's something else for QRP fans that love to run QRP. The Flex radios they'll go down to 1 watt. So it's a really neat rig for that. Welcome, Wendy, to the channel. Whiskey 4 Lima Sierra. Wendy from Florida, thank you for coming today. Any final questions from Michael Walker from Flex Radio Systems? We got to catch him before he heads to the cabin to cool down for the weekend. Please feel free and put them in the comment section. Michael, what would you like to see Flex be able to do in the next, say, 5 years? What would be something you'd love to see Flex develop?
I don't know if I could answer that because I sort of know what we're thinking, and I love what we're doing. I mean, I just love the fact you can buy an old radio, like an old 6300, and still have current software on it. And I think their core platforms and what they've done with remoting has been phenomenal. I mean, the vision of Gerald Youngblood, Eric, Steve Hicks, et cetera, even back in the day when we started down the 6000 series path has been absolutely phenomenal.
And that was back in 2012, right?
Well, yeah, but the company's been around since 2001.
I know that, but I'm saying the 6000 came out in 2012, yet Smart SDR still is supported. That radio is still supported with new upgrades all the time.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Hopefully we'll be able to keep producing software when we come to version 4. We're at version 3 now, that you'll still be able to load it on a 6300. Maybe, and I'm only guessing, by the way, I'm not assuming anything. And as long as the hardware supports it, you'll be able to benefit from those features. And here's the other part of the vision that I think I would like to see more of us contribute to, because I don't know if we're going to have time in the next while because of other things, but the radio supports something called waveforms, and that's the ability to create your own mode and put it on the radio. Anybody can do that. So if you came up with the latest greatest sideband mode, but it wasn't called sideband, let's call it, for DMR, for example. Could you run DMR in HF? Try to use that as an example? Probably. If you could create a waveform, then this is stuff that anybody with the skills can apply to the radio.
And that's because of the open source software, basically. Yeah.
Now, what would I want them to see us make?
Yes.
Is put on a set of VR goggles and go through HF and go, wow, look at that signal, and narrow it in and then bring it to me. Bring these filters by hand control. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That, you know what, that would actually be kind of cool. If somebody actually came up with VR for ham radio and then made it country specific, let's say it's
oh yeah. I don't need to see the US. Get rid of the US.
Yeah, let's say, hey.
Well, because I work at DX into Eastern Europe. Okay, I want Eastern Europeans only.
Well, I put Martin up on the screen from Holland, so all of a sudden you get your VR goggles on, and there's Martin there in Holland, and yeah, he's right there, and all of a sudden he appears, and his signal's right there, and you just kind of tune it on all in, and there's Martin. There he is. Wow, wouldn't that be something?
A funny story at Dayton one year. Two guys were on the air, or it was Dayton weekend. Two guys were on the air, one guy in the U.S. and one guy in Germany, and they worked each other. They were chatting, and this is a true story. And apparently they said, well, where are you? He goes, well, I'm actually on my remote. Well, so am I. So where's your remote? Oh, mine's in Illinois. Where's mine? Oh, it's in Frankfurt. Well, where are you now? He said, well, I'm at Dayton. Well, I'm at Dayton too. But turns out they were on the same floor of the hotel, 7 rooms apart. So when the QSO finished, the other guy, the German guy, grabbed a QSL card, rode on it, ran down the hall, and delivered it, and got to be the fastest ever delivered DX.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wild E. Coyote.
To 1 minute later.
Sorry. Sorry, I had to play that. I just played Wild E. Coyote Genius over that, because that is brilliant. What are the chances of that happening, right? Are you going to Huntsville?
If the border opens.
Yeah. That's tough. Yeah. It's really changed a lot of stuff. No
I can
question.
come in. I can come in, but if I go back, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks.
Is that the way it is there right now?
Right
Oh,
now.
boy. That's too bad. Wow.
I have
Hopefully
both shots,
things
but
lighten
I still
up.
have to quarantine.
Even though you've had both shots. Wow.
Yep.
Well, hopefully things will lighten up and we'll get back to more real life soon. That would be nice. Mike, anything you'd like to...
Hold on. In the grand scheme of things, COVID and everything, we're all pretty okay.
Good.
Sucks. But everybody's pretty healthy, right? I would think most of us have done okay. I'm sure we've all been touched in our own ways.
Sure.
It could have been a lot worse.
Boy, no kidding. No kidding. Well, yeah, and there was no rhyme or reason why some people caught it, and way too many died. That's just too bad. Mike, any last word? Gosh, I hate to use that word. Yeah. Any final words for people here?
Last words.
Enjoy your last words, Mike. Any final words for the folks here for Flex Radio to talk about your product, to share reasons why it's special?
Well, two things. One of, ham radio was the original at social distancing, so we had that nailed.
Amen.
Down for COVID. Actually, I have a bigger word for the amateur radio population. So you're either new or you're an old fart. If you're an old fart, mentor. Help somebody out. Okay? Don't tell them to read the manual. Give them some direction, because when you got your ticket forever ago, somebody helped you out.
Yes.
And taught you and got you going. And the other one I have for...
No, don't stop. Don't stop there. Keep preaching, brother. Keep preaching. Keep preaching.
For us really old farts that have a whole pile of equipment on shelves.
There you
go. If you're not using it anymore, give it to somebody who can use it. You don't need the $50 or the $100. Just give it away.
That's it. That was what I was waiting for right there, Michael. That was exactly what I was waiting for you to say. Exactly. Some people have been in so long they forget what it was like to start, and that special person that started them off to help them. They forget, and they've been in so long now that they just kind of lost track of where they started. And my gosh, look at your closets. I mean, you got stuff in there. Help somebody out. That's a great comment.
No, I was going to pull the curtain back. I've got stuff. I've given away. I mean, if it's really worth something, that's one thing. But if they're, the $100, $50 Dayton trinkets, it might be useful. I gave away a 6-meter beam to a new ham. He was about 30 years old. He had it on his roof within 24 hours.
Because it meant that much to him.
Meant that much to him. He had it in his driveway that night, on a piece of pipe. And the band opened, it was...
Wow. What a great story.
Give it away.
And it's neat that you did that. Welcome, Scott. North Boston, New York, Kilo Charlie 2, Charlie Alpha Delta. Good to have you, man. Michael, thank you for joining us today. You also were going to say one other thing. You said, first for you old farts, and then you stopped. There was one other part to the story. Go ahead.
Oh, old farts, please mentor. That was my story.
That's it? Just old farts, please
Don't be
mentor.
so grumpy.
There you go. I agree. Yeah, because we all went into that. Gosh, who was it? One of our guests said, first time he ever had a QSO was on 2 meters, and the guy said, this is only for club members. Real grumpy. It's only for club members. And it just totally, he's like, forget it. I don't want to do this anymore, because if this is how people are, why do I want to take part in it? Just, remember where you started and try and go back there and help somebody else out, because it means a lot to people, just like it meant a lot to you. Good comment, Mike.
Yep.
Good comment. All right. We've been live with Mike Walker from Flex Radio. And Michael, we thank you very much for your time. But Tom in Bahrain wants to thank you for coming onto the channel. Very informative. It feels good to be able to pass things on in the hobby. He says 73 is from Bahrain. So there you go. Mike, thank you. You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
Thank you. And I've almost been to Bahrain. I was next door in Dubai, but I didn't get skiing. Next time.
Next time. Hey, have a good time at the cabin. Okay, bro?
Yep, 73.
You too. 73, Mike. Thank you. Goodbye now.
Bye-bye.
That was Mike Walker live from Flex Radio Systems all the way, he's kind of like in Texas, but not really. He's in Austin. He's out of Austin, but he's up in Toronto. And Mike does a great job with public relations and talking to people about Flex Radios and, explaining what they do. And they are special. And I will tell you, I had a problem with customer service once, but I've had problems before with customer service, and things got worked out and everything was just fine. And that's the way it was with this thing with Flex. I just was very happy with the rig. I loved the maestro. There was nothing better than that. By the way, Adesh from Trinidad, thank you for joining the show. You know what? Better late than never. And for me, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being here, my friend. We're going to close the show now with a special sign-off from Austin, Texas, to honor Flex Radio, because that's where they're based out of. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be back tomorrow at 1900 UTC with Ham Radio Live Show 217. Man, that's a lot of shows. We'll try and get back some test questions. Do want to get back to that. Also, it is 6-meter E-skip season. We're going to talk about that. Looking forward to showing a great video from Randy's channel at K7AGE. Randy's got a great video there, and I'd like to show it to you because it's really informative on E-skip and how it works, why it works, and how important it is. And right now is E-skip season throughout the Northern Hemisphere. Join me, won't you? 1900 UTC. If you'd like to get into amateur radio, we would love to have you join us. Contact the American Radio Relay League at www.arrl.org. They'll help you get in. Also, the people in Canada have a wonderful resource in the Radio Amateurs of Canada. They can easily be found at www.rac.ca. Over the pond in the UK, the Radio Society of Great Britain is a wonderful radio club, and they have fantastic resources to help you. Find them online at www.rsgb.org. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia, contact the Wireless Institute of Australia at www.wia.org. I'd like to thank you for watching the channel today. I don't monetize it. I just ask that you please subscribe. It helps people to find the channel here on YouTube. And for that, I thank you very much. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And thanks for watching Ham Radio Live. Goodbye, everybody.
Independent television, serving the Hill Country and Central Texas. This is KBVO TV, Channel 42, Austin. This is KBVO TV Channel 42, Austin, Texas, concluding another day of great independent television programming. KBVO TV is owned and operated by the Austin Television Company, with studios located at 10,700 Metric Boulevard, Austin, Texas, 78758. Transmitter facilities and tower located on Trail of Madrones High in Westlake Hills, overlooking Austin, Texas. KBVO TV broadcasts on UHF Channel 42 at a assigned frequency of 638 to 644 megahertz, with an effective radiated power of 2,510,000 watts visual and 251,000 watts oral. The KBVO TV studio to transmitter microwave link is WHS 515 with a frequency of 7,075 to 7,100 megahertz. KBVO TV is a member of INTV, the Association of Independent Television Stations.